Hey, everybody. Welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. You know, it's been a little while, Ed. It's season 4, episode...
episode dos.
You've been struggling with the date. Now
dos, 2.
And we're going to offer the date now. A little something that we just figured out. What is the date today?
The 27th.
27th of March, 2019. For those of you who may be watching this 20 years from now, that date's going to be really important. Ed, we got a big podcast ahead of us. It's been a while. How you been?
All right.
Good. Last time I saw you was 3 weekends ago? Or 2?
3.
Okay. Seems like it was. We were working on a little Bonanza. Thanks for the help there. Mm-hmm. You also helped. We replaced a little bushing in the back, and we found a little washer. In fact, you found the washer. I'd given up at that point. But funny, with a little bearing and a washer and some experience will do. It looks like that's lined up nicely, so thanks for the help there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I understand you've been up early on Craigslist, and as a result of your efforts, you found a little something this week.
Yeah, I found a Briggs 3-horse, a 1960, brand new. Still has the papers on it. And
see, that's
got
fun.
The manual with it and everything.
When you get the paper, or you get anything that, it validates the fact that, yeah, you paid a little bit too much for it, but it's still pretty cool.
No, I don't think I paid too much for it.
No, you didn't. But I'm saying there are times when, when you see that paperwork, you don't mind spending a little extra. In fact, you actually spent a little extra because the guy did you a solid, right?
Yeah, I gave him extra money for him holding it for 2 days.
Because otherwise you thought you were just another crazy...
Someone else would have bought it and I would have missed out.
Yeah, so for the $25
for $25, it was worth it.
Yeah, and even sometimes those deals don't work out, but I'm glad it did. We'll talk more about that. Sitting next to you, Guardrail Dave. Dave, we have you joining us again for the second time in the podcast. Welcome.
Bonanza Brotherhood.
Yeah. Right. Now I understand you guys are gonna share that mic, and most of your time, Dave will be with us as we talk a little bit more. But you've got a stretched Bonanza. In fact, E was taking some photos earlier. We'll share a couple of them. You guys have competed and are competing currently in the OMB Minibike build-off. And you still got a little time. It's right before Windbird. Isn't that what you said, Ed?
I think, yeah.
So you got some time. I see you've got it stretched nicely. And you guys have entered this as a duo?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll find out a little bit more about that. But when I first saw it...
Dave won a few years ago on the build-off with the taco.
Okay.
That I had painted.
I painted it, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys have that that championship pedigree that you have to maintain, and people are going to expect you guys to be coming out with something strong, and it looks like you're on the right path there.
Yeah, we built that taco, and it was a race against my buddy Kyle Moody.
Kyle Moody.
Yep.
Well, shout out to you, Kyle Moody, and thank you for dropping back in. You know, Dave, you're almost like a neighbor.
Yeah, just down the street.
Yeah, just down the street. So before we get ahead of ourselves, I want to thank our sponsors, but we also want to thank, we're trying to figure out if we're going to call him a winner or just a good friend. Dane Walton showed up because we had a little shotgun seat promotion where folks that are local, that may be fans of the hobby or, guys we like to have around, come and sit down at the podcast. Dane Walton, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Dane will be sitting in with us on the second half of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about things. I was talking earlier about a time when Dane was on the warpath, because he lives in a really nice neighborhood, kind of someplace similar to La Crescenta. And just like I have my garage door open, he had his garage door open, and someone decided that they wanted his mini bike more than he did. So although we were laughing, it's still kind of a shitty thing when someone robs your stuff, right?
Yeah.
So Dane's going to track him down and kill him at some point anyways. But we'll have Dane coming on board. We've got a giveaway. We always have giveaways, and this one was really cool. Now, Ed, this comes from Greg Dahlia from the East Coast. Is he New Jersey? Is he Jersey? Or Long Island?
I think he's Long Island.
This is an example. This one is the Stars and Stripe chopper. This is one of 5 or 6 of the Barris mini bike models that are in this nice print. In fact, I've got to get the name of the gentleman who does these prints. It's on my Facebook page now. I'll remember it, and I'll report it after the break. But we've got a set of these, not only for you, Ed. I gave you your set that Greg gave you, but I got a set.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
Yes, very cool. And we also have a third set that Joji from Barris will sign. And then we're all going to sign a set and send it back to Greg.
Oh, okay.
Which is very cool. So Ed's been busy signing, and we're going to give away this signed print from me and the Evil One. In fact, there it is framed up there. It's pretty nice. It looks nice framed. You can go and get a $12 frame over at, where did we go, Linda? We went to Ross. I got it at Ross. So you can buy a frame and you look like a big shot and you'll have this. Send in a comment why you should win it. And we'll look at the comments at the break and we'll give this away to one lucky winner. Thanks again to Greg Dahlia. Also, Ed, we offered an opportunity. You know, I showed a picture of the BC 1000. That was the red bike that's kind of flanked. Actually kind of cool, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it is.
You were suggesting the old school versus a little custom action.
I like it.
Yeah, a little contrasting colors. But I stuck one of these decals are really popular, like all your stuff is at the show. And I put this on that clutch cover on that 5 horsepower Tecumseh. And it's just a little bit long, but it fit perfectly. And everybody liked one. So I offered a free one to anybody who asked for it while they lasted. And they all wanted them. And we've got, I don't know, we got a bunch of them going out. Eric Adams, who is our buddy Eric, right? OMB.
Great goat.
And he does his podcast as well.
Thursday nights.
Eating the mic, Ed. Thursday nights. Right? So Eric, he's getting some. Who's this guy? Oswaldo?
I don't know him.
All right. Well, you do now. Oswaldo Soto. Oswaldo, you wanted 3, but that means it's going to be like extra 4 stamps, so you're just getting 1. Leo Zachary, you know Leo, right? That's where you go like this. Yes, you know Leo.
Yeah.
Yes. How could you forget him? How about this guy? James Earl Jones. What's his name?
Jeremy Earl Policia.
Yes, and then Rick Watson out of College Station, Texas. I'm happy to tell you that Ed has autographed the decals. They'll go nicely on your clutch cover or put them in your garage. And unfortunately, we're out of them. We'll have some more at Joe's Mini Bike reunion. And while we're at it, a lot of folks have been asking about the reunion, Ed. And I have submitted the date request. It has to be 6 months prior to the event.
Is it the same day as Pomona?
It's usually the same day of something.
Because Mac really wants to come to the mini bike reunion.
Well, Mac, first of all, I was remiss to not see you because I didn't realize that Mac was kind of closing down his annual Mac yard sale.
Yeah, I went over there on Saturday and picked up a few things.
So I didn't know it was his planned last one. So, Mac, congratulations and thank you for all those years of putting on that cool event. It was a meetup annually for all of us. In fact, it was the straw that stirred the mini bike drink out here on the West Coast. Wouldn't you say, Ed?
Yep.
If you didn't go down early in the morning and freeze your ass off to have a shitty pink donut amongst all your buddies annually, you just weren't in the scene. And it was such a cool gathering. There probably won't be one like that, and we'll hopefully have, as a result, have more access to Mac. Maybe we'll get them out. And Mac, the planned dates are October the 12th or the 19th, and E just cringed. So which one do we want to go with? E, because we only have 19th. All right, so we're going to try the 19th. But it's tough, see? And I may have something else going on too. And ultimately, it's a matter of when the park says. And if it turns out that we got to do it in September, we'll do it in September. I don't know. I used to worry about all that shit early on. Now I don't. I let the dates dictate themselves. So, Joe's Mini Bike Reunion, stop asking me, okay? Stop telling me that you got to plan your vacation. Like, I'm sorry. I can only give you the dates if I know them. And if your boss is going to be a prick about it, just quit your job whenever we announce the dates. Hopefully it's the 12th or the 19th. It's going to be brought to you by our sponsors, Pioneer. I'd like to thank of our friends at Go Kart USA. In fact, look, Ed, do you notice the cool little tablecloth? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we covered up the nasty plastic one. And you're only on here if you're a sponsor.
This is from my buddies, Pioneer.
Yeah, Pioneer.
Oh,
and
nice.
So I want to thank our friends over at Studs Racing. Check those guys out, their new website. We have our friends over at Go Karts USA and our friends at Green Filter. Thank you for your support. All right. So you and Guardrail, Dave, have been building this stretched Bonanza.
Mm-hmm.
It's
actually Dave's building it. I'm loaning him my motor.
Okay. So with that said, it looks like you've got off to a nice start. The stretch looks really good. It was a 6-inch stretch. Is that what you said, Dave?
6-inch stretch.
Okay.
The frame got a twist, so the long. Well, if we have a picture of the red and the blue, you could see the Bonanza frame cuts in. Ours is cutting out to get extra length on the frame.
Rails were swapped.
Very subtle little change. Thanks for pointing that out. Very good.
It's been raked.
Motor plate's been moved.
Motor plate had to be moved to keep all the angles in line.
Sure.
So it doesn't look like a lot of work, but there's a lot of work in this one.
Now the handlebars just for mock-up purposes?
Just so I can drag it over here.
And what do you plan on putting on there?
Some little chrome ones that come up.
Got it.
Not real wide, skinny.
Little 1-inch action or
No,
They're 7/8.
7/8?
I think they're off like probably a 70s moped is what they look like.
Yeah, okay.
Just the little.
So you got the look. When we first came out here, it was like, wow, proportionally, that thing looks like it's right. It's designed that way.
Came together nicely.
You see a lot of long, extended frame drag bikes out there, you know? And then there's ones that just went a little too long or got a little bit too wide. And it's made by, young guys and guys of all age for that matter, but they're building them on their own and they take on a different personality. But that one looks like you nailed it.
Still stayed mini bike, but it's just a long one.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the question that everybody will be begging to ask is the power plant. What are you guys going to be putting in there?
We're going to put in my Blue Wazoo, Uncle Frank's Blue Wazoo motor.
The Blue Wazoo lives again.
It's supposed to be like around 18 horsepower when you get it from him.
So he has it now. It's being.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It was in my Temecula Bob bike. I took it out.
And that ran good in the Temecula Bob bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're really not expecting to do much of that? Are you going to hop it up at all, or you're just you're just ready to go?
Already.
Great. Homemade exhaust.
Yeah. Homemade exhaust. It runs on M5
Okay.
and electric start.
Great. Nice little addition there with electric start. Where are you on things then? It looks like the frame, the roller's ready to go. If the engine's ready to go, I mean,
Yeah, the engine's
final
ready to
assembly?
go. Yeah. We just got to get together, and he's got to get the motor from me, and he's going to put it in.
Great. Well, I'm sure once you get the motor, there's always a couple little things that keep you up at night, right?
Well, just look at throttle, brake. Could just
Hook up the cables.
couple minor things, and it's close.
A little bit later on in the podcast, Joe Petralia from the Muscle Mini Bike Build-Off is going to be joining us, and they are at the end of their competition.
Okay.
And their voting will take place. In fact, Joe's been working, like all of us, we seek the help from our young kids or our young neighbors whenever it's anything that's technical, right? Or online or creating an app. And he has been working diligently to get his arms around this. In fact, he's done a really good job. If you remember, we had Joe on the podcast earlier, and he had some humble numbers of expectations on entrance, and he got almost 100 folks that committed and got involved in that build-off. So that's coming to an end, and then the online judging will take place. And trying to find an app, in fact, he should have called E. Finding an app which would just afford you the chance to vote once instead of 1,000 times, or voting for 1,000, so just keeping it a one-time deal. And, it's easier said than done. Just like putting on any build-off or any kind of competition is tough. And, when he first announced that build-off, that it was in the middle of a time where we were transitioning in so many ways. We had taking stuff here, putting it in the shop, the move, the potential move. It was the beginning of the year. I just didn't feel like I could get into it. And then immediately after, I started to work on that bike, the American Flyer, and you got into this project. So, whether you commit to them or not, you're always in the middle of a project. But this is also one where, you wanted to see how it went. And they did a really good job, and those guys have a lot to hang their hat on. They had a lot of sponsors that were in there, and we'll find out a little bit more about that from Joe. But your program, how does that end? It's right before Windmere, which means you got...
Like right around Father's Day.
So you've got a couple months, easy then. So you're way ahead of the game. Yeah.
We got a good jump on it.
Yeah. And where were you, say, this time when you had that taco that you guys won ultimately? Were you this far ahead of the game leading into the...
No, not really.
You were chasing your ass a little bit last time?
No, not really. We had it done in time, but
Yeah, we
weren't
had
really chasing
had
that.
time.
Yeah.
That one was a different build. That was an all stock vintage build.
Got it.
So tracking down the stock parts was the hard part on that one.
And
It
we're
was
actually...
custom painted, though.
Yeah, we're actually going through a little bit of that too. As you know, we've been working with Ed and Joe G. Barris. In fact, we recently, Ed, in fact, I've been waiting for a while. We got a few parts in.
Shoot, look at
Yeah.
that.
So just on the simple end, we tried to replicate as much as we could, and this looked pretty close to the brake lever that was on there. So we got a new one, 1 inch. On the pull starter, we're going to put a little Hurst handle on there instead of the rubber handle. So we got our little Hurst handle. This is heavy,
Yeah.
And I noticed that when we did that with the CRC build. So I don't know if there's a way to reduce it, but it is a little heavy. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
So I don't think we're going to go through the trouble of hollowing that out. I think we're on the right path. I may look for one that may be a little bit earlier built where it's not as heavy. That also has that nitrous mechanism, which may cause it to be a little heavy. So who knows? We'll find a way to hollow that out and get that on there. That's just a personal touch. Hurst is one of those companies. If you recall, on that Super Stalker Barris bike, there's a bunch of decals around that custom clutch cover. And Hurst was one of those decals that were on that. And we wanted to, as we talked about earlier, use products on that bike that were depicted just by the decal. They had decals with no association on the bike. We want to try to implement that. So that's why we're going here. And Ed, don't let me open a knife on you. Here you go. Open up. This came from Karen Krause.
Well, I might cut the seat opening.
Well, I don't think you will. You're now Karen, who's on the East Coast and struggles to stay up because we start so late. I thought we'd get to that early, and now I've had that box, Ed, waiting for me to open for, seems like months, but it's been a couple weeks, and I wanted to wait for you to be here. This was that white with the red and the blue stripe theme. That's that bike that we're talking about.
Nothing with this knife.
Really?
There we go.
A little bit better there. So we've got a few of these items, and we are about ready to send out the wheels to get done. Emmanuel is asking me about the status of the bike. While you're opening that up, what's happening?
Sandblasted.
Okay.
Ready for primer.
So we're way ahead of the game there. I need a little help one last time on the tires. You all right there? I've seen you do a lot better with a gun, Ed.
Man,
Yeah, I know. She don't fool around.
this knife sucks.
When you drop off a box, especially is that post office?
Post office.
Yeah, they go through your shit. Karen knows. You got to be OJ to get in there.
Karen's still awake.
Karen's still awake. Hi, Karen. Thank you, Ed. Well, if Ed could ever get that open, we're going to showcase. And if you would like to have a custom seat done, by all means, get a hold of Karen Krause. Maybe we should wait to see the seat first. I don't know. Come on. I've seen some of her work.
It'll be nice.
There's no doubt about it.
Where is it?
Well, Ed, you still have to cut that little piece there.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to give a couple shout-outs. Jerry Kalea, who is the my main guy working the mini bike. Oh, look at that. Working the mini bike show. Jerry is recovering from Evil Ed surgery.
Who? Gallbladder?
Yes. Jerry had his gallbladder removed and is recovering back home in Utica. He's finally back to work. He said they hurt his belly button. Was your belly button affected by the operation?
No, it was. I just had pain going from like up here
Uh-huh.
over this way and to that way.
All right. Well, thanks for that in depth.
Just pain. It was.
Well, Jerry has
No
been on the
belly
mend.
button- No belly button.
No belly button injury? Yeah, we were worried about that.
Didn't hurt the piercing.
No, they had three punctures.
Yeah. They had you out of there in a day, too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Jerry's like on his second week of recovery.
What?
They fucked him up. I don't know. Anyways, we're wishing the best for him because he does all the work at the mini bike show. He's got to be in tip-top Magoo shape, right? Also want to reach out to my good friend Amy Gillis. Her dad, Jesse, is recovering from some health issues and is now off a respirator and hopefully on his path to recovery. Want to give a shout out to him and Karen,
Nice,
Amy's
Karen.
mom. Look at this, another Karen. Oh, so here's the seat. Look at this, Eddie. Oh,
Good job.
yeah. See, you know, you can tell. Look at the bottom. Nice, nice. Look at that, Ed. Thank you, Karen. Did a great job. This is, again, the Barris Super Stalker replica that we're building. This is the seat that Karen Krause put together for us. Karen, great job. Thank you so much for that. Think there's something else in there, Ed?
She was going to give me some little things.
Oh, I kept those. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. All right, so, Karen, thank you for that. We've got some products here, so we're on our way. And we're hoping that we will be able to start showing you some progress of the Barris bike. When do you think, Ed?
Ah, there they are.
What was it?
There they are. The little seat inserts.
Oh, yes, she mentioned that. Yeah, those are a pain in the ass. I'm going to let you do those. Nothing is to you. You're Evil Ed, for damn it. For Christ's sake. All right, so, hey, we were talking about our sponsors, the folks over at Go Power Sports, as well as Studs. Studs has a new website. It's studsracing.com. You may be more familiar with studspowersports.net. You can check them both out, but it's studsracing.com, gopowersports.com. All of those guys will offer you a Joe's Minibike Reunion discount. Ask for it. Don't ask for a Joe's Minibike Reunion discount if you're going into Best Buys for a Pioneer Audio. They'll think you're a nut. All right, so maybe we can we'll get you guys back on the second half of the show, and at this point, I think we may be getting Joe Petralia. Joe is our guy from Arizona. If you recall, Ed, those guys came out and supported the event last year. Dallas came out. Our man, John Benet Ramsey, Jason. I think, who is it? Nick Sklara? You know Dallas. Nick, right, Dane? Nick.
Not personally, just on Facebook.
Just on Facebook, yeah, which is
Dallas.
Dallas. Nice little family there. They recently had their version of Fun Day Sunday. They had a live feed, and they were out drag racing in Arizona for what appeared to be well over an hour or two. Easy. No cops. Straight away. Beautiful day. Not too hot. Usually it's scorching hot out there. So I'm curious about some of the times there, but also curious as to how Joe's doing. Again, putting on these competitions is not always easy. And I bet that he probably learned a few things here, huh, Ed?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a chance to learn a little bit from him. We're going to get Joe on the line. Joe's actually a big help for me recently, too, Ed. He helped me sell the 51.
Yep.
Yeah, over at Barrett Jackson. So let me take off the mute. Let me go. Speaker. Hey, Joe, can you hear us?
What's happening, buddy?
All right. Joe Petralia from the Minibike Build-Off and I didn't realize, Joe, you were such a talented guy with, what was the name of that TV show that you had on Discovery a while back?
It was Lords of the Car Hordes with Rick Dorr and Chuck Palumbo.
I have something for you, too, Joe. When I saw that post of you with Eddie next to the pickup truck you did for him, back in the day at Sport Truck, I hadn't really started, but I was the publisher of Sport Truck, and before I had taken over, the former regime had just built a Chevy pickup truck for Eddie Van Halen with that crisscrossed red and white logo that was, what was that album that was so popular with Van Halen? And
that was Jump.
Yeah, so I have it somewhere. We made a key fob out of those same style, and I've got it. It's not doing me any good. You probably have more of a direct tie-in than I do, so I'm going to send that to you at some point. But welcome to the podcast, Joe.
Oh, awesome, man! I appreciate that. Yeah, and thank you.
Yeah. So it's been. When did you decide to do the Minibike Build-Off? I'm trying to think. Was it right after my Minibike show, somewhere around October of last year?
Yeah, actually, we started discussing it at the show. Me and Justin. You know,
Justin being.
We talked about it one night. We talked about it after the show while we were out there, and then we just started, putting the idea together like the following week, really hard.
Well, I remember when we had you on the podcast, and I was asking you about expected participation, and what were some of the goals. If I recall, based on what you told me, you've almost doubled that. Didn't you have close to 100 folks that actually got involved with this build-off?
We had 116 sign up. And we only lost 18 or 20, so we're in the 90s still.
Wow. Congratulations.
That's good.
It really is.
That's pretty wild. I didn't think it was going to flourish and be that big. We were talking, maybe 5-10 a class tops, and that was it.
Why do you think you got such a overwhelming response? Is it just reflective of that segment of the hobby where there are a lot of guys that are really using this mini bike platform for, to fuel their performance hobby interest? Or was it just one of those things where it was just overdue?
I think it was timing. It was overdue. I think it was overdue, and it's just right time. The hobby's really exploded in the last year and a half, so to speak. I mean, it's been coming on strong, but the last year and a half, it's really gotten strong. All the guys on YouTube, throwing stuff out there every week, and it just fueled everything. I think the timing was just right for it. I think it just happened to fall in at the right time. Now, I still have some, I have a legitimate 16, 18 guys that have, emailed and messaged me and said, hey, Joe, I'm not going to finish. I'm not going to finish. So I take them off the list, obviously. And but there's a lot of guys I haven't even heard from. So right now we're sitting in the 90s as far as complete list. But out of that 90, what's really left? So I'm going to do a stream, a live feed probably tomorrow night, and really double down because I really need to know, excuse me, who's left and what we got left, because I'm putting this judging thing together and this app isn't working very easily. It's coming together but not doing what I wanted to do, so I may have to reinvent it in the next 5 days.
Well, if anybody could do it, I'm sure that you can. If there are folks, Joe, that are listening, or folks that are listening that may be in communication with some of the other competitors, why don't you take a second just to give us an update in terms of what the last call requirements are, what's outstanding, and then also what you see as the timetable now in terms of the judging and how that works. Do you have a second to maybe recap that?
Yeah. Basically, the biggest thing and the easiest thing to start with, if you're gonna finish, let me know. If you're not gonna finish, let us know. That makes it easy when we set up the judging table.
And that's as simple as an email, Joe? That's as simple as them emailing you?
Yeah, just send me, just message me right through the page and send me a private message, and I'll get it, or send it to Justin, he'll get it. Me and him have a shared spreadsheet that we can both log into and get to and update, remove, and whatever we got to do. So
how many of those folks are still outstanding, Joe?
What's that?
How many are still outstanding where you haven't heard from them?
Probably a good 30 guys I haven't heard a peep from.
Okay,
the whole time, so.
And the take on that simply, Joe, is that, hey, look, just give us a heads up. It's not a matter of like you getting mad or them having to be embarrassed. They're not able to make it. It's that simple, right?
Yeah. If you can't make, it's no big, hey, listen. If you can't make, you can't finish. Not a big deal. Just let us know, and shoot for the wall next time when we do it again, because we're going to do another one again, which may have a shorter window and a different timeline and a different set of classes in it. And I want to do a crunch build is what I really want to do probably next go around to shorten the window up. But just let us know. It's not a big deal.
Okay, so we know that.
With the timing. So as far as how it's going to work is the 31st, the deadline on the 1st, which is April 1st. We got to get everybody listed on there, and judging starts. We're going to run for about a week, and people will vote on it. And then at the end of the week, we'll tally it up, and we're going to see who's number one. What
date will the winner be announced, Joe? Do you have a specific date?
It'll probably be. I'm looking at doing a week's worth of judging, and then
somewhere around the 10th, maybe.
A week's worth of cleanup, and then probably 2 weeks after the deadline is when we'll announce it.
And they can find out more about when that announcement date will be by following it on the Facebook page?
Right on the page, right on the Muscle Minibike Builds page, absolutely.
So, Joe, you've had to have a chance, as we all have who've been on that page, looking at some of the submissions. Look like some pretty well-engineered bikes going on. Are there any specific bikes, without naming names, that you're particularly keen on that gotten your attention? Because you know your way around a shop.
And there's a couple of cool builds out there, and there's some stuff, I mean, we got 1 or 2 right out here, at Arizona that are looking good. Some stuff in California, Michigan, all over the country, which is, the cool part. It's not just like one region or one area, so it's kind of spread out all over the country.
How many states do you think you had?
A lot of guys are putting a lot of work into this stuff.
How many states do you think you had participation? It probably sounds like over a dozen or two, huh?
Yeah, over a dozen or two. The whole West Coast, Arizona, Texas, a lot out of Texas, a lot out of Michigan, Indiana, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, Jersey.
Beautiful.
A lot. Yeah, good coverage.
Well, we want to congratulate you because it was not as easy. I'm sure you're finding out. However, you've got that attitude. It's that East Coast attitude where once you make up your mind that you're going to do something, you do it. So congratulations on the effort, Joe, because we know that it's not as easy as just posting something on a Facebook page, right?
No, you got to manage it, and then you got to handle it, manage it, keep it control, stay on top of it. Justin does a great job of that as well. So we both kind of kept it under control. The sponsors, the biggest thing is I really want to thank is all the sponsors. I mean, there's so many guys that came up and stepped up with some really, really good prizes for these guys that it made it worthwhile at the end of the day for the guys to get into it. And one of the biggest things that we always stress was, if you need some stuff, try to buy it from a sponsor if they have.
Who are some of those sponsors, Joe?
Oh, God, we had OMB, Go Power Sports, Young Custom Engine, ARC.
The guy with the guy that did the seats, Joe, was doing a nice job. Who's the gentleman that was working with you on the seats?
John Fasati over at Voodoo Saddles.
Yeah, he was doing some nice work there. And you're
he's made a couple of seats for me, and he does some real nice work. And he's got some talent of what he builds and manufactures. And his main line of work is pretty good, really good.
What do you think about the seat we have here on the podcast from Karen Krause?
I thought that was bitching. As a matter of fact, my wife was sitting there looking when she opened it up out of the box, and she thought it was pretty cool too. And I was like, yes, if that thing just captures the essence of what that bike is. It looks like it's supposed to, and it's just nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, the look is there. We were going to have to maybe enlist your wife to help open up the box. Ed was having a little trouble. He's more of a...
Give me that damn... This thing couldn't cut cheese.
He said I gave him a dull blade, Joe. I told him
couldn't cut cheese.
Well, look, online I saw that fun day, race day that you had out there with the live feed. Who did what out there, Joe? Looks like you guys were having a good time.
We had a good time. We had about 30 guys show up. We got a good spot to race out on the east side of the valley here in Arizona and outside of Mesa. It's private property, but it's a regular road, so nobody bothers you. The cops don't say anything, so you get down there. It's a half-mile of roadway, so an 8-mile plus shutdown is easy. We ran a regular, typical quick 16 ladder, or quick 32 ladder, I should say, and that's how we ran it. And then we had a loser ladder after the first round. So everybody was constantly racing all day. I raced 2 bikes, which was basically I didn't take my helmet off, so I just kept going from one bike to the next.
How fun.
And it was good. And then what we came down to is out of that, we generate our top 10 list for the year. And now we have a top 10 list like Street Outlaws. So the next race will be regular drag racing, and it'll be a call-out as well, and you work your way up the list.
They do. You guys are doing it right. And, it seems like you've got a really cool crowd over there. Obviously I'm partial to our guys out here in California, but when I had a chance to meet you guys, it was a nice warm reception. We got to find a way where we can mingle and get out there. And if you guys are going to continue to do that, I guess this is the time because it starts to heat up out there.
Yeah, we got about another. By the time the end of the bay rolls around, it just starts getting a little too hot. You don't want to be riding this air cooled stuff, and it starts getting a little warm. So like June, you're done.
Yeah.
For daytime ride, drag racing and stuff like that. But we're going to get one more race in before that happens, and we're going to do a regular drag race day, and then a top 10 list call out, and see who works up. I currently sit 5 and 6. My 2 bikes are back to back, and speed-wise, we're not as fast as the boys in California or Michigan or Miami, but we were running anywhere from 56 to 71 miles an hour. Dallas has the fastest bike in the valley. He was running, I think his top speed's about 70 miles an hour. My bikes, I ran, the slower bike was 53, the faster bike was 58. With the jockey on it, it ran 61. So,
those are all fun.
Pounder on it, it picked up.
Those are all fun, respectable times. Plus, they probably start every time you go out there being dependable. And you know what I also saw? Everybody there was wearing helmets, Joe. Yeah,
helmets and pants. And, if you want to wear a jacket, fine. It's a little warm to wear a jacket, but at least you got to have pants, helmet, shoes on, And we kind of stressed that, and nobody was going to race without it.
Well, just a little recap here. We've been talking to Joe Petralia from Arizona. Joe has headed up the upcoming build-off where we have over 100 participants. If you're one of the third of the group that put their hand up and realize that maybe they're not going to be able to finish up, just give Joe a courtesy shout-out. You're not going to be penalized. You're not going to be...
No hard feelings. Just, hey, can't make it. It just makes our organizational side of this whole contest a little easier because we clean up some stuff. And it just makes let's call it the paperwork side a little smoother to deal with.
Well, even as an ambassador on my end, I'll reach out to those folks that maybe haven't really circled back to you and just ask you as a courtesy to let Joe know, so he can kind of stick a pin in this too. At some point, you want to end it so that you can get the voting and you can complete this, because there's a lot of folks that I noticed were asking you about the judging and when it's going to take place, because although I was one of those guys that didn't think that voting and judging was important when I did my event, I found out that those guys who built the bikes that were my bread and butter, it was important to them. And if somebody would come to an event and it's important to have their judged or their bike judged, I'm sure that if they enter a competition, they're definitely going to want to make sure that the competition takes place so that they can find out where they stand. And you owe it to everybody. If you have any questions, you can go check it out on their Facebook page. It's the Muscle Mini Bike Build Off. Joe, congratulations on all that. We'll circle back to you. We'll circle back to you again as you get closer to things. You're working on that app where your design, Joe, is to have it where they can only vote one time.
That's what I'm trying to get working, and that's the problem that we're having as far as loading a certain amount of pictures. And I should probably call you tomorrow. Maybe we could talk about it. Maybe I can make something. Maybe you can give me something to make it work a little bit easier. If you have
Here's what I will do. Here's how I can make it work. When you call me, I'll give you Emmanuel's phone number. That's what I always have to do.
A little assistance to try to make it work out, but hey, it'll come together. We'll get it done, and it's Muscle Mini Bikes Builds page on Facebook, and then our group over here is the AZ Mini Bike Riders, and if you want to jump on the AZ Mini Bike Riders, you don't got to be from Arizona to join it up, and go back a couple of days worth of updates on there, and you can find 2.5 hours of drag racing, because I had my tablet on a tripod. I streamed it all afternoon, all around, starting from the beginning. So it was pretty good. And
I watched it.
Steal some free Wi-Fi off a building about 2 blocks away, so it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I watched it. It looked good. And as a reminder, folks, we too decided to do our best to try to support Joe's build off. Anybody who finishes their bike, and you don't have to win. As long as you finish your bike for the competition, you get a free entry into the Joe's Mini Bike Reunion, which is either going to be October. Well, I'm looking at the evil eyes from E. It's likely going to be October the 19th or the 12th or the 19th, but we'll have a special area for them if they'd like, Joe, to recognize that they were competitors. You'll save the money.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Well, real quick, last year when you were selling off some of those big giant signs, you know the sign that I bought, right?
Was it the Honda CT70 or was it the, I don't know, vintage minis?
The build off sign.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the 5,000.
I bought that just for the reason that if we make a build off work, I want to have the sign, and now I can bring it back.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for all that you've been doing within the hobby, Joe. You've been a good ambassador, and keep up the good work, brother.
No problem, man. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon. And Ed, everybody else, have a great evening.
Same to you,
Joe.
Joe.
Talking with you.
Same to you.
And I'll see you guys soon.
Awesome. There he
Awesome.
is.
Have a good night. All right, bye.
He makes shit happen. I like that.
Arizona's a quick little road trip.
Yeah, and you'd have to be respectful of the heat out there.
We don't want to shut him down, do we?
Well, he said we were a little faster. You know, he wasn't talking shit. His other guy, he mentioned Justin a time or two, Justin Bett, that he had, that was it the Retro Mod bikes that he had? I'm sorry? Yeah. I like the guy. Charles obviously has a way online. So we are, Charles called up because Charles wants to sponsor a dunk tank for him. So we're going to have that on. It'll be the Justin Bett dunk tape, sponsored by Mini Drag Bike. Hey, it wasn't my idea. A shout out to Charles Mini Drag Bike. I also want to give a shout out to Jake Moe with Built Mini Bikes, and also the AV Riders. They're going to be out to their old tricks on the 15th of April. However, this sorry ass will be working. I have to be at Long Beach for Formula D, representing the SEMA Young Guns competition. Although I'll have some fun there, I'll be missing that ride. So there'll be another AV ride. I don't know if
Justin and I are going to go.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring out the new taco to shake that out, but I won't be doing much of that at this point. But if you want to find out more about that AV ride, and a lot of people ask about it, you can get with Jake Moe. He's always available on Facebook, or check out that Built Mini Bikes site. But
we don't have the taco out here.
Well, you know what? We can maybe do that at the break. We showcase the bonanzas. It's a bonanza night.
It's bonanza day.
All right, so this is going to stop the first half of the podcast. When we come back, we're going to have Guardrail Dave with us again. I'm in the studio with the Evil Ed. We're going to have Dane Walton join us. Dane's riding shotgun, and get a chance to find out a little bit about what makes Dane Walton tick. Once again, we've got the decals that are going out to some of the lucky winners. 10-minute break. See you guys in a bit.
Is your car stereo a little outdated? Don't sell your car. Upgrade it. Get hands-free calling with Android Auto on the new Pioneer Next.
Hey, everybody. What do you say? What do you know? Welcome back to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. I couldn't help but notice the intermission entertainment that we put out there. I think I saw the Go-Kart USA commercial 22 times, so we're going to try to kick that down to about 2 next time. People get pissed off when you quote-unquote advertise during their podcast. I got a little negative response. Folks don't like that shit. They don't like you hanging them out to dry. Because as you know, folks, the only reason why we do these breaks is people like to go to use the restroom or maybe have a beer or a cigarette or whatever you do. And the spirit of it is to give everybody a break. For those folks who don't appreciate it, you can start your own podcast, right? That'd be a good idea. We're back at Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. We had a good first half. We had a chance to talk to the evil one as well as drop in on Guardrail Dave. It's always nice to see you and Guardrail Dave together. And
Thanks.
yeah, well, so we'll have you guys come on back once you stuff the blue Zoom in that. And I don't know. I'm going to make a call into the Westgate, see what the opening odds are for the build-off. I'm going to put like $100,000 on you and no pressure. You know, you are a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Why isn't Guardrail Dave a Hall of Famer?
I don't know.
All right. Anyways, before we get on to any Hall of Famers,
Maybe next year.
Ed, something really rare is happening in the studio tonight. We have someone who is older than you in the studio. Welcome, Dane Walton. Dane, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Joe, Ed, Dave. How's everybody out there?
You know, you were pretty popular when we were going back and forth with the old, hey, we got an open seat. Who wants to come over here and have a bar? How was the barbecue, Dane?
Barbecue was great.
No shit. Now, come on.
Yeah, it really was.
All right.
And I don't like coleslaw and pork, but it was awesome.
You know,
It was very good.
okay, so that happened to me by surprise one time. And I'm a picky eater. And I was about ready to bring that shit back. No one should put coleslaw on my barbecue without telling me, right? Then I tried it.
That was awesome.
It was pretty damn good.
It was.
So thanks for coming over. Thanks for driving. Dane, like most of us, you know, right down the street is usually like 45 minutes or an hour. But Pomona's not too far from where we are. Pomona, the home of the L.A. County Fairgrounds and the
NHRA.
Pomona, NH. So you get to hear all the cars testing and tuning.
Big time. Big time.
Dane, you and I met like most folks either through, some of the social media and then some of the events, and then we really got a chance to hook up when you finally got your bike dialed in and you brought it up to AV for the AV ride.
Yes,
When was
yes.
that? That was like maybe...
That was a year or so ago.
Yeah, you did a really nice job on that bike, and I noticed
Yes.
that you brought a nice calming presence to a group of young crazy bastards out there.
Yes.
And guys, especially the young guys like Corona and Midgie and Irving. They all gravitate
Jake,
towards you. What is it?
Alfredo.
Is it because we look old and these guys look for a little guidance, or is it just because you're still cool as cucumber?
Yeah, I just try to be cool with everybody. I mean, I appreciate the fact that all these young kids, there's no age barrier.
Yeah.
There's no age barrier, and I think that's awesome. I mean, I can't believe that young guys would even want to be shooting shit with the old farts.
There is no age when we're out there.
No, there really isn't.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Yeah, I noticed that, and you and I share. Well, we're pretty close in age. I'm going to be 60 next month, I think.
That's all?
God,
Well,
60.
I know.
Just a kid.
Well, I guess we're pretty happy. Anything over, like after 55, you can just drop, and people are like, yeah, all right, whatever. You know, so every day's kind of like a gift after 55 anyways, right?
You got that right.
So it's how you feel. 60, but we're in that senior class. Those of us who are past 55, we're in that senior class, and it's not like as I'm getting older, I'm liking this sport less. I'm actually gravitating more towards it as I get older. Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I really don't.
You know, because at this point we've got an extra buck or two when we didn't have it when we were kids. We could probably go spend our money on 51 Chevys like we've done in the past. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that it's not a money thing. It is
Kind of like you want to do, before you die, you want to do the things that you did when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Makes you happy.
Go backwards.
Yeah.
Remember that movie where what was that movie where the kid went backwards?
Big.
Benjamin Bottoms.
Yeah, and it's like, man, and I started thinking about that not too long ago. It's like, well, shit, I don't know if I want to end up with poop in my pants. Well, shit, I'm going to end up with shit in my pants anyways. Yeah. So, but going back the reverse way, I guess either way we're gonna end up with mini bikes, either young or old. So when would you say you officially got into the hobby, so to speak, Dane? Obviously, you were
2006. 2006, 13 years ago.
And how did it happen?
I was going to Bonneville Salt Flats, and I wanted a pit bike out there. The pits are 5 miles long up there, and riding a bicycle up there for a couple of years was fine, but wanted something with some speed so I could go from A to B a little bit quicker. And yeah, it's very open. There's all kinds of places to ride out there at Bonneville, though it's flat.
Now, what were you doing out in Bonneville? Did you have a car there or just a fan?
No, just a spectator. Been wanting to go there all my life. You know, I've done drag. I'm a drag racer kind of guy, and I like straight line, and I like to see cars go fast. And Bonneville just seemed like the place to go. My brother and I talked about it for 10 years before we made the first trip up there, and we enjoyed it so much we went back the following year, and I'd like to get back up there again.
So when you were there and you're riding your bike, you see a couple little mini bikes zipping around?
There were no mini bikes up there.
Oh, okay.
None. But the first year we went up, I had a 54 Chevy, small block Chev in it. My brother had a 46 Merc with a built flatty. And so he came out of Northern Cal, I came out of Southern Cal, and we met up there. And so they had a lot of great car shows up there. And I ran into a bunch of old guys that I hadn't seen in years. And so a lot of fun.
So you realized that your pedaling days there at the Salt Flats were kind of coming to an end, and you decided mini bike. Then how did you then get in pursuit of finding what kind of bike you wanted and where you're going to buy?
I didn't know where. I had heard of Azusa Manufacturing, so I just went to Azusa, bought a frame, basically just a roller kit, and bought a motor out at Pomona Swap Meet.
What did you buy?
Bought the Champion 200. It was a great motor. It was a great motor, and it was like, you know, I wanted a torque converter when I was a kid. I couldn't afford it. It was like, I'm going to put a torque converter on it. I raised the motor mount up. That was a piece of cake, and everybody nowadays seems, God, what do you guys do to make clearance for? It's not rocket science. It's very easy to get it all dialed in. But I raised my motor up off the original plate 1.5 inches, and that gave me all the room I needed.
Yeah, you see people trying to cut them out, and it's like,
cut them out. It's like you're just going to weaken the thing. And I hear so many stories about people blowing their belts out, wearing them out, breaking. I'd never messed with one. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody when I built my mini bike. I didn't even know there was a movement out there. And it wasn't until I hooked up with Facebook and saw West Coast Mini Bike. And it's like, oh my God, I had no idea. I didn't, because I never got the mini bike to Bonneville, and I ended up just riding around the neighborhood. So I did that first river run and found out I had all kinds of issues on my first river run. Sure. Seat falling off and fuel line, that was the biggest thing. Having a small tank for a 40-mile ride. Sure. You know, carrying a gallon gas can in my jacket, trying to hold on. A lot of fun, though. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're a smoker, too, so it can be a little extra surprise carrying around a gas tank. You mentioned torque converter. How about your first torque converter experience?
The first experience, first day, a little too much gas, knocked me on my ass. Mini bike still running, but it's going in circles on my driveway, and jumped up, looking around the neighborhood. Yeah, nobody's out to see that.
That disaster.
Yeah.
Well,
they kicked me off a half a dozen times, though.
I had usually run clutches, and we put a torque converter on this kit, and Ed had helped me get it going, and he's up there at the top of the driveway. We were just literally, it was like it was our first test and tune, right? And he was just sitting there, just being himself, a little cigarette going. He gave it a little bit of gas. That thing screeched up like a stallion.
Right up.
Yeah.
So I'm down here watching. It's like, oh shit, this is going to be fun watching. Because I was certain that the grips were going to be tore off, and
I was ready to let it go.
so
I wasn't sitting on it. I was standing there.
So I was already expecting it to leave him, and sure as shit, that thing came down as quick as it went up.
Yeah.
Ed didn't, and Ash didn't fall off his cigarette. I know he was acting cool, calm, and collected, but when that thing came down, you were happy. You were happy that fucker didn't get loose on you. I've got skid marks there that I showed you, Dane, and my wife, who's there now, she would watch me dick around with these bikes because she knows it's just a matter of time before one of them goes up the wall. I started one bike, and it was a Clinton-powered Frioli, and that thing just climbed up there. And I did the same thing you did. I pulled it down. I looked really quick, but this time she was looking at it. She's like, get in the house. Get in the house. Shut that door. Get in the house.
I live right next door to my brother, or did until he moved. But my sister-in-law, like the first day riding the thing, isn't your brother a little old for something like that?
Yeah.
My brother's like, hell no. Hell no.
Someone told the story about living, I think it was a Florida story, and they have some of those communities where you literally open up your garage, there's a street, and then across the street is the other person's house and their garage. There's maybe 20 feet. And he had a mini bike issue where he farted up and the throttle got stuck, went out of his driveway across the street, and the neighbor's garage door was shut. And it went right through the garage, ripped the garage off, and there was a neighbor inside there watching, and just like a bullet had gone or a train had come through. But I guess these small little bikes, you still have to remember anything can happen.
Anything can happen, yes.
So tell folks a little bit about the bike that you currently had. Was that a Rafa bike? Was that a
Rafa
GTS
bike,
frame?
GTs? Yeah. Did that as a roller, and got the Predator motor and basically built that up. And
I see you never wanted to run out of gas again with the size of that tank.
Yeah, I've got a tank out of a company called Bun King up in San Jose area. In fact, not far from where Justin lives.
Okay.
And it was funny because when I did post my finished bike, Justin goes, "Shit, I got my tank at the same damn place." And
yeah, well, they're kind of unique looking.
Yeah.
Your bike came out really nice. You had that nice little fuel system plate that you made. You showed up strong at AV with that bike.
Yeah,
Dave, congratulations
I had a
on
lot.
that.
I had a lot of comments on that bike up there, and I have since, within the last few months, finally put a disc brake on. I got F&B's disc brake set up for the back, and it works awesome. It works awesome. I didn't think at speed with my weight I would be able to lock up that rear wheel, but it didn't take anything to lock up that rear wheel.
They're doing some great things out there. In fact, Frank's upcoming 50th birthday is taking place this weekend. Congratulations to you, Frank.
Wow.
Shout out to Solo Brian as well over there at F&B. Yeah, he's putting out some product. He's putting some product on a pallet. I just saw a shipment that arrived over at our friends over at Studs. They got enough pipes to last them a month because it's warm weather. So all of you guys who have been under the snow, so to speak, for these last few months, as you look towards this upcoming warming trend and the summer months start to rear their head, we suggest that you give a call to all of those folks that sponsor not only my mini bike activities, but Joe Petralia mentioned some of the sponsors for his build-off. Use them. That's where you're going to get the right parts, whether it's Go Power Sports or whether it's Studs or buying a frame. You mentioned the Sousa Engineering. Many of us started there. In fact, they're neighbors to where you were, right down the street.
Yeah, they're right down the street. Yeah.
How cool that is. So support these guys now. You're probably been just looking at that frame or that block while it's 6 feet of snow outside, and as it starts to become that time, don't wait. Don't be last. Call these guys now where they have plenty of inventory in stock. Ask them for your Joe's Mini Bike Reunion discount. I know Eric is stocked. I was watching some of the Facebook posts of, in fact, Joe from Minibike Build Off just got a complete motor and a bunch of other performance parts from GoPowersports.com. I hear a lot of great things about them. People love their customer service. They compare them to Zappos. I don't know if you've ever ordered from Zappos. No. Zappos, you order shoes, and when you hang up the phone, someone knocks. The shoes are there. If you don't like them for any reason at any time, you just put them in any box and get them anywhere near them. You can even send them to a different state. They'll still credit your money, no hassle. That's kind of the reputation that the guys at Go Power Sports. And we're a fickle, cheap crowd. I've never seen so many people bitch about $5 than some of these mini bikers. So when you're satisfying that crowd, like Go Power Sports, that's pretty nice. So Dane, are you going to be up and running? I mentioned the AV ride. I've been corrected. It's not the 15th. It's the 7th.
7th. I'm going to be up for that.
You will be there.
Yep.
Great. So for those of you who are local to Southern California, and we saw a turn in the weather. Last time we were doing podcasts, we were kind of freezing in here. So we've got the garage door open now. It must be maybe sometime around 50 degrees out here. What's it seem like? So the weather's nice. 55. Yeah. So get ready, and if you get out to the AV, or if you'd like to find out more about that, you can check out again Jake Moe. Usually we get up there. What time? Like
9 o'clock. Get up there, and we're out there 3-4 hours. Yeah, it's a ball. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun out there.
Like Arizona, it's going to start to get too hot there too. So we got to get our riding in.
Yeah.
There's also an event that's taking place this Sunday, Dane, over at Bassani Exhaust. Now, I understand Bassani is located in, is it La Palma Boulevard in Anaheim? You can check out their website, but it's the Mini Bike Madness this Sunday. And the folks from the Honda Grom Lifestyle, my buddy Bing Flores, he typically has these epic TGIF Friday night rides where everybody meets in downtown LA and they ride havoc and end up at all kinds of places, Beverly Hills and Tito's Tacos and Hollywood and Dodger Stadium. They're all riding out to this mini bike event this Sunday, this Mini Bike Madness event at Bassani, and they'll be meeting on, I believe, 1st Street in LA. They usually meet about 9, kickstands up around 10. You can find out more about that on Facebook page Honda Grom Style Lifestyle, or Honda Grom Lifestyle, if you want to be a part of that. I was thinking about going, but I'm not exactly sure. If I could, I will. Also want to suggest that you support that event because it's new, and like as an event promoter, you love it when there's other events out there stirring the pot and getting guys active in the sport and the hobby, because that's really what this is all about. Ed, you didn't have a chance to bring that motor, but what are you going to put that motor that you just found on Craigslist? What are you going to put that in? Is that going to be just a keeper?
I'm going to put it in one of my early Bonanzas. I mean, it's a little too early for my Bonanza mini bikes, but it's cool, and I'm just going to put one in one of my Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
One of my Lightning Bolt badge frames. It's just too cool to just...
That's what you were thinking when you saw that engine, weren't you? That's where it's going?
I have enough Lightning Bolt badge Bonanzas that are original, but I'm just going to put it in one and have it non-original.
Yeah. Well, you get to do whatever you want to do. You're Evil Ed, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just because it's cool looking, it's got the embossed side cover, BS on it, Briggs & Stratton.
And it's old.
It's 1960.
Yeah, and that is going to be tougher and tougher to find. Hey, our guy Justin was putting a bunch of his bikes on Craigslist. He had a couple of choppers. Did any of those bikes move?
I think they're still there.
Yeah, so he's let's face it, that guy's got a slew of really nice bikes. Like we were talking about, everything's so expensive. Those were pretty good deals that he was offering. So if you're looking for a bike or you're looking for a mini bike project, check out our man Justin Eichler. He's got some stuff, and I think he's in a little bit of a selling mode. He wants to get a new truck. We all get to that point where...
He just wants to buy more mini bike parts.
Yeah, that's the story. He's sticking to it, huh?
Yeah, I want to shout out to Karen Krause. You did a nice job on that seat, Karen. Appreciate it. And if anyone wants their seat done, you can reach her at KarenKrause50@gmail.com.
Yeah.
KarenKrause50@gmail.com.
Thank you, Karen. And I know that you only did that because you're good friends with Ed. I was like 10 deep in line. She moved me up.
You're lucky she doesn't move me up.
Yeah, I told her I know you. So it got me ahead. Hey, we have a winner for the Barris Stars and Stripe. What do we call that? A color rendering? John Kokinos. He wanted it to go with his other Stars and Stripe. He's a Stars and Stripe collector. Why not? Congratulations to you. You can private message us your address, and we'll find a nice little tube, and we'll stick that in there. You can get a nice frame for it and stick it in your garage. Compliments of Joe's Mini Bike Reunion. Once again, we're sending out a bunch of the... In fact, we'll give you one of these too, John. This is a clutch cover decal, autographed by Evil Ed. Good for like 2 horsepower. Check that out. And I've got some shout-outs myself. As we look towards the next podcast, I know that you're heading out to Mammoth this weekend. How long are you going to be in Mammoth?
The weekend.
The weekend.
The whole weekend.
This will be the first time he's going to Mammoth this month, or during the month of, it'll be March, where it's not a snowstorm. Good time up there. What are you doing up there? Tell everybody what's going on up there.
We're doing a skiathon called Vertical Cure for the Scleroderma Foundation.
Yeah, considering you say it 50,000 times a day.
So verticalcure.org if you want to donate or learn more about it. We're doing it again next year.
Great.
We normally raise about $45,000 up there.
Yeah.
And people do, I think this year they're going to be doing about 80,000 feet up and down
Yeah, man.
the mountains. So just keep going from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., just going up and down the mountain.
Great cause. Scleroderma.org for more information on that. Joe's Mini Bike Reunion, big supporters of that. Wishing everybody.
We also have the Padres versus Dodgers, Cinco de Mayo in San Diego.
And that now that becomes even more of a premium because they got Manny Machado.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you got you've got a legit reason to go down there and watch the Padres now. That could be a team. And the Dodgers. In fact, opening day's tomorrow. Dodgers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yeah, opening day already. Wishing my Yankees a great 2019 season. World Series all the way. I know it. Everybody hates the baseball, but I got to give some shout-outs here, Ed, myself. And you may want to think of some, as well as you too, Dane. Josh Pickney. Is that someone that you know, Ed?
Josh Pickney.
Local guy.
I don't think so.
Brad Chuppick. Brad is the guy who actually met with Ray from Little Indian and showed the photo of Ray with our plaque. That was very, very cool. Thanks again for that. Once again, our shout-outs and our best wishes go out to Jesse Gills and to Amy and her mom, Karen. Hoping that, Jesse, you start to do better. Have a nice cold glass of water. I bet you've been waiting on that. Dave Wolf, our man John Benet Ramsey from Arizona. We mentioned some of the other folks out there, Dallas, Jason, Nick Scara. I think you know him through Facebook. Yes. Our buddy Calvin Carisi. Miles Kovacs. Miles, who has, everybody should know Miles from Dub Magazine, right? Miles has a new show on YouTube called AMA, Ask Me Anything. And he ain't bullshitting. Miles has been through a lot, and he's a really good life coach. And he's helping, maybe you've got a little something that's been a pebble in your shoe, and you're looking for a little help about anything. It's an interesting podcast. Actually, it's a really interesting show on YouTube. It's called AMA by Miles Kovac. Check that out. The Green Hornet, Irving Payan, Randy Keats, Kevin Shields. Let's see, Ed. Bill Brousseau, Alan Stiff, Mario Taylor, Carolyn Deere, Brian Amatsu, Jonathan Castillo, Louis Vasquez, Nate Lawson, Cole Heisner, Richard White, our buddy Richard White, Myron Bailey, Adam Wolf, Ian from CB Minis, Gavin. We hope you have a great season. His little nephew there.
Yep.
That kid's going to be fucking riding NASCAR, man.
Good.
Temecula Bob's a big fan of his too, so go get him, Gavin. Have a great season. Rick Watson, Rye Watts, Kyle Calkins, Charles Mini Drag Bike. Look forward to having you on the podcast soon. Shout out to Home Alone. Home Alone was trying to get his schedule intact, like to get him back on. We talked about maybe having Dave Miller back on. Dave's Dave's looking forward to coming back on. Dean Barrett, our man Corona Irving, our buddy Vinny from Vinny's Minis, Greg Dahlia, we talked about him. If there's anybody else we missed, have you given any thought to next potential podcast dates?
April 10th.
April 10th.
April 24th.
April 10th and April 24th.
We'll back to 2 a month.
Great. We're back to 2 a month. Thank you for that. We had a good time in the studio. Ed, any other shout-outs that you want to give?
I think you covered them all except for like Minibike Paul, Cliff Judd, Justin Eichler,
Yep.
Jake Moe,
Jake
Alfredo.
Moe, yeah, Alfredo.
Yep.
My South Central guys, Mario, Seaweed, and Arnold.
I don't know. man.
Yep. And Rafa, we were talking about Rafa from GTS.
Rafa?
Yeah. He's been kind of quiet. How about D Racer? Haven't talked to
Yeah.
David Rivas in a little while. How you doing, D?
Yeah.
Little shout out to them. All of our guys in Houston, the Texas Outlaw Mini Bike guys. I was in Houston, and I was only there for a second. I was fortunate enough to get hired by SEMA, and I'm working on a program called the SEMA Young Guns. And we're going to national events throughout the U.S. We just got back from the Y2K, which, Ed, there must have been, I was swatting away 6-second GTRs, all kinds of supercars. I mean, everywhere. It was amazing what they were doing out there. Then there was the Texas Mile, but we're going to a handful of events, and we're looking for young automotive enthusiasts, 27 years and younger, to compete in the Battle of the Builders. And you have to be 27 years of age or younger and have done the majority of the work on your vehicle yourself. We realize that you need help at some part along the way, but SEMA is really focused on getting the youth back into and remaining a part of the automotive aftermarket. So we're going out there identifying regional winners, and we're going to pick out of those regional winners a handful of semifinalists that will fly them to Las Vegas, and will transport their vehicle to the SEMA show, where they'll be judged by former winners for the Ultimate Young Gun Championship, and that'll take place during the SEMA show, which is usually the first week of November. So I'm going to be out doing that. We'll be at Formula D on the 15th of April. If you want to come by and say hi, we'll be at the Carcraft Street Machine Nationals in Des Moines. We'll be in St. Paul, Minnesota. We'll be in Denver, Colorado. More of that, if appropriate, when appropriate. We'd like to see you out there because many of these young hot rodders are also mini bike guys like the rest of us. In fact, all hot rodders started from mini bikes, right?
Yes,
Pretty much.
So thanks for listening. Congratulations to John on winning the Barris poster. Thanks again, Karen Krause, for all the good work. Evil Ed, have a great night. Thanks for joining us, Guardrail Dave. Dane Walton, pleasure to have you in here. Hopefully we'll see you out in that AV ride again. It's the 7th of April. For more information, check out Built Mini Bikes. It's Joe's Mini Bike Reunion Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Minibike Show.